Good morning from Australia. Sunday, the 22nd of January. Whoa, it's bright. Apologies, it's one of those bright, sunny days in Australia where there's really thick, opaque clouds moving in between a really, really bright, sunny day. So you'll have to bear with a lot of this in today's stream. You know, dark light, dark light. Otherwise, it's all going to be like this, and no one wants to look at this. I guess I could trust auto ISO. Hang on. Oh, it is on auto ISO. Doesn't make a difference. Okay. Hope everyone's well. All the regulars. Boffin, how are you, man? Two dogs. David P. Arvero. Rocket, how are you? Donna, how are you? Hope you're enjoying the day. It's going to be a good day today. All right. Yeah, as always, discussing the most recent videos of the week. And some really good comments from recent videos, which I'll be reading out and discussing. If you would like to ask me a question during this stream, as always, put three yellow circles before your question. As Vero said, where is it? Let me see. Yes. As Vero said, that. Don't forget to put three brightly colored circles like that, three yellow circles, before any question you want to ask me. All right, guys. So let's get back into it. So the last video I did, this one last night, which I uploaded, which I hope you like. It's getting a lot of attention, but it's kind of a reiteration. And I do reiterate similar talking points because I think what tends to happen with all of us is that we have a light bulb moment when we discover a video or a phrase that, you know, turns your lights on and you feel very liberated, clear, righteous, and like, you know, this isn't going to hurt me anymore. I know what it is. I understand what it is. And then you forget. You get complacent. Just like, you know, you want to write something down. Oh, this is really important. I want to write it down. And then by the time you get home in 5 minutes, you've forgotten what it is that was so important that you wanted to write down, and not in exactly the right way that liberated you. So it's good to revisit these things with fresh eyes, not just to repeat memes, but to talk about them again, like exercising a particular muscle group at the gym, like going for a run. Repetition of a good thing is a good thing. So if you want to ask a question, again, during the stream, make sure you put three yellow circles, three yellow emojis before your question directed to me. And as always in these videos, guys, I'm not trying to badmouth the manosphere. I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. Like, I don't care about snowflakes out there. As a recent comment by Alex said, he commented on a video I did a couple of weeks ago, I think. Have you changed in the last 5 years? And I'm talking about growth. A lot of people, between men, there's something noble about being able to trust that a guy will be consistent. My friend hasn't changed. I've had this friend for all my life and I can always trust them. There's that. I agree that's positive. But you yourself, if you are stuck believing what you did when you were 21 years old and it irritates you now, and you're finding it hard and you keep going back to the familiarity of what you believed in as a 20-year-old and now you're a 50-year-old man, whatever you're frustrated against, maybe it's time to step to the left or change the angle. You know, stay who you are, but revisit your assumptions, guys. Alex says, I'm loving these takes. It encourages thinking rather than an echo chamber. And this is really what I enjoy having conversations about. We obviously, We're having conversations about who we think we know, who we think we are right now, and who we believe we are, so we can go out into the world and be confident in that stance of who we are, right? And being able to have open and honest conversations, not being triggered by someone saying, you know what, I don't actually agree with you, or I have a different take, or I completely disagree with you, human. And your response should be like, oh, really? Let me listen to this. This will be an interesting conversation, rather than, you know, defending yourself and trying to put them down and censor them. You're just being like everyone else out there who wants to destroy dissenting voices rather than have an open conversation. Maybe learn something different, and say, even if you have the willingness to have a live and let live attitude with someone else, as long as they're respectful and not try to bully you and arm wrestle you into winning. As I said, I want to have conversations, respectful conversations, even if they're in opposing views. I'll, I would enjoy a conversation uh, with a probably I'd enjoy a conversation with a respectable first wave feminist, right? But I'm not going to have a debate with somebody. A debate is where they want to win. It's like I will say and do anything lexically to win the argument. I don't like debates. I like open, interesting, mature intellectual conversations where I don't have to agree. You don't have to be converted to my way of thinking, and I don't have to be converted to yours. If I willingly adjust my point of view because of the conversation we have, why shouldn't I be grateful for that? It doesn't matter who the messenger is. It's whether or not the message itself is true and it's applicable and it can work for you. And it can finally dislodge an anchor that's been dragging behind you. Like I said, you might have ethics from the 18-year-old you that helped you become an adult and liberate you in a certain way and help you go out there and, you know, find the answers. But then the same answers that worked when you were a 20-year-old very, very rarely still work when you're a 30, 40, 50-year-old. They just don't. They, at best, need a lot of adjustment to work as a 50-year-old, but most of the time they just need to be thrown away. And we see it quite often in the external. Like if you dress like a 18-year-old and you're a 50-year-old, it's obvious that you just need to throw that away, or you need to adjust 90% of it. So you know what I mean? It's, I don't know, anything. Anyway, just something for you guys to reflect upon. Now, I wanted to pose a question in terms of today's topic, which is incompatible women. They wear you out. They wore me out. And at some point you go, I don't want to be worn out anymore. It's not just that you're comfortable doing the same thing. You have to face your uncomfortableness and go, am I just going to experience this for nothing? Is there something to be gained from this? Can I not pick this? Can I adjust? Say I continue to like the same kind of women, but adjust away from the things that cause me to break up with my kind of women. Go for the same look, but it might be a central part. You might just be thinking it's, as I noticed, a lot of people think all relationships are luck. Grant you, the meeting of a person is a lot of luck, but the older I get, I am completely convinced, and you can think what you want, or rather, you can feel what you want, but I'm convinced that past the initial point, whatever you decide, everything is about skill and choice and your courage to do the right thing. Almost all of it is. And so I wanted to ask you guys a question. Are you dating good people or easy people? And by easy, I mean what I was just saying before. Is it habitual? And you're frustrated more and more. The little things that used to frustrate you with going out with girls when you were younger, it was like, heartbreak, on to the next girl, or on with my life, let's go and play sport. You don't have the distractions when you're older. The older you get, you just have the reality of the few things that matter to you. And when the few things that matter to you, including your peace and quiet, your sleep, your tranquility, if those are getting messed up more and more, and they weren't that messed up when you were younger because you had a lot more energy and a lot more things you could just latch onto and move on with. You get older, you have to be real with yourself. So, yeah. Are you feeling good or are you just feeling familiar, people? Are you dating? I'm not saying you shouldn't have your type and try and find something appealing in someone that you just don't find appealing. You don't go out with a certain type of woman. She's just not your type visually or racially. Like then she's just not. You can't force yourself to throw someone up against the wall and tear their clothes off if you don't feel it. It's like at that point, I've kind of said when I used to talk about women and people saying, "Oh, that's just what women are." It's like I might as well be gay. Seriously, like you might as well be asking me to accept a man like emotionally and intimately in the same way you're asking me to accept all these things that are just trash with women. Like I know what I'm attracted to. You might as well ask me to go out with guys, and I'm not built that way. I don't care what you say, Roman. I'm not going to change my mind. Anyway, if you want to ask me any questions, guys, make sure you add 3 yellow emojis in front of a question directed to me, and I'll do my best to answer it as long as it's civil. And if you want me to guarantee seeing your question, super chat me during the stream and I'll see it. By the way, when I ended my stream last time, I missed the super chat by Martial Arts Oriental Medicine. And he asked, and thank you for the donation, Martial Arts Oriental Medicine. He asked during last week's stream, or he commented, he said, "Hello, human and everyone. I'm in a Buddhist monastery for a while. There is a high state meditation monks do to detach from the desire or from desire. You see the body as it is with all the visceral bones and blood. So after a while, no desires. I stopped very strong. Okay, be well." Yeah, a lot of the Buddhist spiritual meditative practices that have really become popular and been promoted and talked about in the last decade, I think is in a direct response that we're going the other way. We are living very, very dysfunctional human lives emotionally. We've got everything we want, we've got all the choice we want, and the quality of our lives is worse. And what do? We look to substitute the quality of our lives with the quality of products. We buy new cars, new phones. Ooh, good quality, faster RAM, faster, stronger, better. The quality of this product's better. It's kind of like a distraction from the quality of your life. And the advertising out there keeps promoting that as well. Yeah, this is a way to get a quick fix, get a quick buzz, buy something new. Go on eBay and just I've done this, you buy a $5 pencil just to give you a buzz. You go shopping and you buy some little thing and it kind of just gives you a little buzz that helps you get through the rest of the day. But if the quality of your life was actually better and the quality of people you chose and surrounded yourself with and the quality of conversation that you had, the honest quality of conversation that you chose to have and insisted upon, don't just fill up conversation with people you'd rather not be around, but habitually you might have known them all your life, or, well, I don't have any friends except for Joe here. And like, I'm tired of these conversations, but I don't want to push Joe away in the same way you stay in a bad relationship with a woman. I don't want to push her away. Some comments people have left. Remember, guys, if you want to ask a comment, super chat me in the comment or add a whole bunch of emoji, yellow circles in your question to me, like Oshin here. Add 3 circles before your question to me if you want me to read it during the stream. He says, "I'm 38, got divorced 3 years ago, and now I feel super insecure about getting older, losing hair because most women were promiscuous as F in their youth, and I feel younger women won't like me." Yeah, this just takes time. It's kind of like forging a sword, like just running, exercising the same muscle. I'm a big believer, I'm not a big believer in self-talk if you don't actually act on the talk. So you might know a lot of stuff that kind of makes you feel better and like, yeah, I know this is true. But then when you go in front of women of the world, you talk like your old self. You need to talk like these new thoughts and new things you're liberated by. So like you watch videos by your favorite content creators, you read books, you read quotes, you read posts, and they really make you feel alive and make you feel like this is the new way forward that will make me into a better person, right? I want to be this person. I don't want to be the same old person that reflexes into the same old conversations, that reflexes into picking the same women blindly. You need to start practicing them, like exercising, like running, like anything. Start talking and being that person. Just start pounding away in that direction. Don't do the easy thing. That's all I can. I can't give you exact things to say and do because they're my exact things to say and do, and I talk about them. But I'm not saying you should do them or choose them or be that way or talk that way. You need to find your own language. You need to find. But the thing I think is universal is practicing it. There's no use knowing all this stuff behind a screen and never speaking it and never acting it. When the topic comes around amongst the people you know and amongst friends, speak up. Learn how to speak well and express what you believe. Then you will be that person more. But if you stay silent, you won't. And I feel you with some of this insecurity you're feeling. And it's great that you acknowledge it. So the worst thing you want to do is you can't Andrew Tate your way out of this lexically if you don't actually believe it. Now, Andrew Tate actually believes it. That's why he inspires a lot of people, whether or not you think, you agree with his personality, all right? But he believes what he believes in. And if he doesn't, he's a great salesman, if he doesn't. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that he turns up the volume on. But the point is, you can't fake feeling secure. You can't Tony Robbins yourself in the mirror with post-it notes saying, I am great, I am great, I am great. It helps a bit, but you have to pedal really fast to stop yourself drowning the moment you forget the aphorism. You need to speak them. Just like writing, writing helps you think, right? That's why I encourage people to write. It helped me. But speaking helps you be. Writing helps you think, but if you translate the writing to actually speaking the way you write or trying to speak the way you write, and it all comes from here. You think something, try and speak it. You think something, try and write it. Thank you, Alpha Gaming, for the super chat donation. I really appreciate it. But yeah, back to what you said, Oshin. The hair thing, I can't relate. I never cared about losing my hair. I wanted to lose my hair because I like the look of the people like The Rock. I like the look of the people like Bruce Willis. I always liked that sort of very minimalist, mature, strong guy. When I used to play Tekken, I used to play, I think it was Heihachi, the old guy. Like I like old, strong maturity, whether it's physical or mental. I like it embodied in wisdom and strength and all those things. So mind and body, I like those things. So I respected age and elders and the wisdom of elders and the strength of elders. I respect old guys who are in shape. I respect old guys who are in good mental shape. I respect old guys who are wise and can be honest and not talk from the script of a 20-year-old. But all I would say is time and keep doing and saying the thing you know is right. When you say, I feel like younger women won't like me, you just really need to remember yourself. You sound like you've forgotten that you exist here. If you're in a relationship with a woman, you're part of it. The relationship doesn't exist without you being there. And you have to insist that, hang on a minute, this isn't fair. I have a say here. She just can't get to arm wrestle what she wants out of you. You're not a pet on a leash that she drags around. So I would say write and speak, even in little steps. Start learning to speak the things you're inspired by now that you're free and able to be a better person. If you come across videos and sayings and things, write them down and make a point of remembering, like, if it's about this topic, I'm going to try and talk about this with, say, the people closest to you that you know you won't be embarrassed around, that won't judge you, that won't come down on you like a ton of bricks. Take little steps like that. Have the courage to speak in the better version of yourself amongst people you feel safer around, and then broaden where you speak those, those truths to. So obviously it's hard to go from 0 to 100, but take the baby steps around the people that you can trust. But you need to express those. You can't keep them up here as a safe herd of cats where you're still going to have trouble between you and the rest of the world. You are trying to relate to the world, which includes women, but you can't just be strong and safe in here. You need to feel strong and safe out there. And it comes from getting this out of your mouth. And like I said, writing is a good first step, because at least the first step is you'll actually, through your writing, be able to see what you think. I was surprised in my 30s when I started to really change who I was for the better, started to generate and create the person I wanted to be more. Not a fake person, but just jettison and get rid of all of those things I'm embarrassed about. Get rid of my awkwardness. Like, why do I act this way around women, but in every other part of my life, I'm pretty secure. I'm a pretty decent, secure guy, and I defend the things that are important to me. But when it comes to women, I'm a 5-year-old. How do I get rid of the 5-year-old? So I hope some of that word salad made sense to you, Oshin. Thanks for the comment. If you guys want to ask me a comment, put 3 yellow emojis in front of your question, like this one, or super chat me, and I'll definitely read it out and see it. Ted1775, how are you, man? Long-time subscriber, says, Teal Swan has a great video about accept relationship incompatibility to avoid relationship hell. You have to accept reality. Yeah, I watch her stuff from time to time. She's pretty good. I like her, except when she gets into the woo-woo stuff. But I like the way she doesn't arm wrestle you into debating you and making you believe it. I like the way she presents stuff. Like I said, guys, don't follow someone like an acolyte. Like, have the clarity to cherry pick from people, including me. You don't have to become me or anyone. Like, if someone you watch says something that is true, regardless of the messenger, the message is true. As I said, whatever I or you or anyone thinks of Andrew Tate, if he said something that's true and applicable and switches the light bulb on for you and will help you, then who cares whether or not you like him personally? He's not going to be your friend. It's just, I think it's an example of people not just trusting themselves. Like, until you get to trust yourself, trust your own words, you're never gonna feel better out there. You're never gonna trust the choices you make in relationships. You're always demoralizing yourself with doubt. I'm not saying be an egotistical prick, but I see that Ted1775, you asked me the same question before, but you only added 1 circle. As long as I see 1 yellow circle, but if I see 3 yellow circles, it's really easy for my eye to pinpoint. Jack says, Human, I think by watching you for a long time, I think you are honestly describing your preference of the women you wish to be in a relationship with. Yes, I can't disagree with that. Again, I'm making my videos like, they're like a video diary for me for expressing my ethics and morals and what I think works for me, right? And what I feel works for me as well. And I'm hoping from that, the way in which I have this conversation with myself and ultimately you guys, I'm hoping you'll take something from this that you can apply to your own life. Come on, camera. So, again, don't photocopy me and everything I say. Cherry pick from me. Look at the way I do things, and if there's something about it that you're going, you know what, I like that. The way, like maybe not what he said or how he said it or whatever. And I do this with movies, or I see a work of art, or I see a sketch, or I see a phrase, and I'll say, I like that. But I would actually end it with blah, blah, blah. or I would replace that word with whatever. So you need to be astute enough to know why you connect with something. In the same way, you need to be astute enough to know why you like the person you like. What is it about this conversation that made her seem like different to every other kind of girl? Just yeah, I think I saw a video with Teal Swan, and she's done a few, I think, where she addresses the issue of incompatibility. I agree wholeheartedly. Like, incompatibility is at the core of people's misery in relationships, the expectations they have, some people's solipsistic view of what a relationship should be, the amount of narcissistically sort of a character in terms of character people, not clinically diagnosed narcissists, but narcissistic acting people, the way they just think their relationship should go the way they want. Well, a lot of modern women just think this way. The relationship is theirs, and every guy that comes into it is just an actor that needs to say his lines and follow the script to the romantic movie she has in her head. And the moment he goes off script, he's fired, and she'll get another guy to play the role of, Romeo in her movie. And guys are starting to learn from women, and I would say wrongly, and start talking about, well, it needs to be all about me. She has to be inside my frame. If she doesn't live inside my world, then I'm going to get rid of her and find someone else. She's disposable as well. How do you like that, sweetheart? So we're just kind of mirroring the bad behavior of the people that we really disagree with. We lexically reword salad um, what they're doing in a way that makes us feel better about ourselves, simply because we're using different words and we're describing things a different way. You're still painting the same picture, even if you're using a different color, guys. Um, I think human is spinning plates. No, I'm not. I've said in many videos, I really loathed when I was single. I really didn't find the dating periods comfortable, because there was a lot of anxiety, because I was always anticipating a lot with the women I was seeing. Sometimes the most plates I've spun at one time is 3, I think, and I really didn't like it. I felt very uncomfortable trying to manage 3 women. And it was I think it was like a 1 or 2 week period where they just happened to coincide, because I was just catching up and getting to know women. I was kind of at the initial start phase of finding someone who was compatible, and I wasn't committing to anyone, and I wasn't hiding the fact that I was. But if they asked me, I would be honest about it. Come on. This camera keeps moving out of whatever frame. PJ, what's the need for compatibility when men and women are different? Again, you're not talking personally. The moment I started to make all this stuff very subjective and personal is the moment I started to realize that all of the manosphere stuff is very, very useful while they're strangers. They're all women. Until you make the choice, you see something uniquely compatible, whether it's in the message online, the texts, the profile pics, some sort of initial correspondence. All of the biology, male female nature, hypergamy, all of that sort of stuff is notable and has its place, and can help you form necessary boundaries so you don't get taken advantage of from people who don't deserve your trust, right? But once you make the choice and you catch up, and it's you with Jane on a date, then it's all that stuff kind of goes into the background until she says something that brings a lot of every woman back in the foreground, going, hang on a minute, are you like every other woman? Let me clarify that by asking you a question. When you said this, do you mean blah, blah, blah? And if she alleviates your concerns and you just misinterpreted her, maybe because you've been in the manosphere for too long and you've become too hardened and too sort of myopic in your assessment of any person. That can be the danger. A lot of guys spend so much time creating a suit of armor where they'll never be hurt, is that even the right girl you go on a date, she can't get through. and she can sense you with a suit of armor on. I could easily sense women I went on dates after I'd been single for a while, and then I was ready and relaxed, and I was myself, and then I'm going out and trying to pick, a new partner, trying to find somebody. I could sense women who were just out of being hurt. I could sense them being defensive, and they didn't just need to exhibit girl power cliches. And we do the same. Don't think that women are very they can sense a lot. We're very obvious, and women can see it easily. Women are a bit more sophisticated, and a lot of guys, they need to read between the lines and see the sophistication. And if they're not sure, follow up with questions to clarify it. But also, we're hampered because right at the forefront, we just want them. We love women. We want their bodies. We have to work hard to be sober when we meet a woman we like before we trust her. That's the challenge for guys. Red Pill Len says, had a coworker tell yesterday he was separated from his wife for 2 years now. He came out after I mentioned that I was divorced. He thought he was alone in this. I think the good thing about online today is that men and women are both talking between each other, to each other. Too many guys just never talked about this stuff because, their feelings, and we just tough it out and swallow it. But it's good. And it's also good that women are being exposed for not just being sugar and spice. Women are just being exposed for being as terrible, and in a lot of cases, more terrible than men in certain parts of life. Especially where they don't have any honor or have any vision for how their character and reputation will be affected later, i.e. OnlyFans chicks, where they think later, I had no idea this would affect my life 5 years later. I had no idea my son's friends would see me on the internet. It's like, really? Maybe you shouldn't be a parent if you can't tell that letting your kid run on through the freeway or alone on the street without you may result in them getting hit by a car. If you have such lack of foresight, maybe you shouldn't have a license. Maybe you need to go through a test before you can vote. It's baffling. By the way, I think they should introduce standardized tests for people to be able to have children. Human can't imagine human with care. I can't either, man. I look at some photos of myself with hair. Aside from when I was in my 20s, I looked okay then. But in my 30s, when I started to see my hair thinning here, I was like, yeah, I don't like this. And the last years before I decided to kind of do it for good, yeah, I can't imagine I look really weird. I just look weird. I liked how I looked when I was younger. I didn't like, and again, maybe it's to do with you lying. I am lying to myself. I looked in those photos and it's like, follically speaking, I'm lying to myself. Jojo says, my ex cheated on me and she said her explanation was nothing happened that wasn't supposed to. And I still don't understand what that meant. I don't either, man. That's that is the Oprahification of women's spirit. That's women's spirituality. It happened for a reason. Nothing happened that wasn't supposed to happen. We fell in love for a reason. No. It might have been luck that we came across each other. If we the moment a woman, I remember in my past when I was young, in my 20s, whenever I would feel secure in a relationship with a woman in the initial phases because I know why I like her. We're making choices. We're speaking to each other. We're honest. We're direct, blah, blah, blah. It was always later on when things started to pop up and I heard the phrase, I hope God doesn't take this away from us. What? I hope this lasts forever. What? I'm thinking, what do you mean you hope? Since when now have you relinquished responsibility from holding on to this? Like whether it's God, spirituality, the universe, no, it's not up to them. It's up to you. The universe might have given you the opportunity, but you're responsible for it now. So whenever I heard them kind of say, well, like, no, I don't have control. Like, I hope I stay here with you. If I don't, I float away. Nothing I can do, human. It's like, whoa, okay. Warning signs, warning signs. But that's ridiculous. Nothing happened that wasn't supposed to happen. It's not my fault. It just happened. You cheated on me. I didn't. It just happened. You cheated on me. I was desperate for love and you weren't there. Yeah. Happens like those extremes I don't think happen to me. They're just so ridiculous. I think a lot of guys fall for the less obvious lower level stuff where women spew this word salad avoidance up and men kind of can't interpret it. And it sounds very poetic like this. Nothing happened that wasn't supposed to happen. It sounds like a professional novelist. It's a line from a book. They sound like a perfect writer and it sounds intelligent. Ah. Christopher Butts said, in a recent video, you talked about your issues with the saying, the only way to win is not to play. You might take less issue with the full saying, women, sometimes the only way to win is not to play. Yes, I would agree more with that. I would agree. Hammerhand, how are you, man? Thank you for the super chat. I talked to Hammerhand a couple of years ago, I think. Cool guy. He says, even the right one can destroy your life when it goes wrong. You are at their mercy as to whether this happens or not. Look, every girl, everyone can feel right at the start if you're not pausing and using your experience to talk and express and vet them in a better way than you did with your exes that turned to crap, right? I'm not saying there's any guarantees, but if you say and go on the same autopilot that you did 5, 10, 15 years ago, as you progressively had worse and worse relationships the further back you go, you are going to get predictably the same results. You are then just relying on pure luck that this woman is not as bad as the others. I'm just saying the more intentional will and decision you make with what you say, standing up for, the moment you see something's off, you speak about it. The moment, it doesn't matter how hot she is. You circumvent that with, yeah, okay, but I'm putting it over here. Before we get to that, before I commit to that, before I raw dog that, right? You need to make sure, because I know for me, the embarrassment and the soul destroying stuff is that subconsciously I knew I did this the same way I did this relationship 10 years ago with a similar kind of woman or a different woman. I did it. I went on autopilot in this, and this way. And I said, I didn't say yes when I should have. And I didn't say no when I should have in this, and this way. This is why this is a lot of my responsibility. Because if a woman completely blindsides you in every conceivable way, and a really good therapist, say, or a really good friend would talk to you for days and days, and there would be not one red flag that would pop up, like they asked you about, didn't you realize this? Did she have a temper? How did she treat people? When you disagreed, what did she say? How did she act? How did you act? When you talk like that, there's very few people that would say, well, I don't know how she just kind of Jekyll and Hyde you and came out of nowhere and dumped you and destroyed your life. I think a lot of the times guys want to believe what they see and don't trust themselves enough to believe what they believe what they hear from her. And if anything they see objectively doesn't match with what they want to believe and what they hear from her and the mirage that she presents, guys have a very hard time using their experience to intervene. Guys have a very hard time using their best friend's voice coming in or their well-meaning protective father coming in and thinking the best of them. A lot of guys don't have that father figure looking out for them, analyzing and assessing the relationship before we take it further, before we make it serious. So I agree. Initially, the right woman can destroy your life when it goes wrong. I know. But I still don't I don't agree that guys can really get the stuff that they struggle against that's missing by being completely alone, unless they're really cool with being alone. I've said it over and over again. If you're cool with monk mode, it doesn't bother me really. Power to you. I know I can't. Call me a SIMP if you want, but I just I know that, and I've had proof. The better I go about things, the better I go about relationships, the more I speak up, the more I go away from every interaction with women, never being embarrassed. I said what I wanted to say. I said my no's. I said my yeses. I wasn't faking it. I wasn't censoring myself, unless it's like at work where you're going to lose your job, or in front of a woman you work with, or at the cash register. You're not going to have a debate with someone. Who cares? How are you? She acts like a bitch. Who cares? Like, okay, have a good day. Whatever. If she's rude, you're not having a personal relationship. My point is, when you're having personal relationships, when you invite people in, is when you should be very critical and speak and act exactly as you want. Then you can avoid this destruction that happens to so many men. I would agree with a lot of the generalities about how men and women act the younger I was, but the older I get, past the initial luck point, a lot of it is skill and your courage to say your yeses and nos and leave much, much earlier when your spider sense is tingling, but you don't trust your spider sense. Dumbledore, thank you for the super chat. He says, last week you said guys who go monk mode should ask themselves if they're completely at peace. Double standard. Are guys in relationships perpetually at peace? Storms will come, but I can't ride them. Again, honesty. That you're not having bad days, avoiding, like if you know your life's good, you're not arguing. You don't always have your sword on your hand, ready to destroy somebody. I've had a lot of comments, and again, I'm not sort of putting any dibs on myself, but a lot of guys have noticed over the last, say, 5 years, my language becoming calmer and me not being as highly strung defending myself against these positions, from my decision to show my face, from my decision to be more responsible for the way I speak and act, to be more real and honest with myself. It's not a double standard. If you're honest with yourself and you're completely at peace in monk mode, hats off to you. If you're completely at peace being happily married with 3 kids, hats off to you. I would have a conversation with either of you, those two guys. I would have a conversation with a feminist who's at peace. That rare dodo bird. But you can always tell by the way they talk. Whatever kind of person, whatever kind of people they would label themselves as. Now, I don't really label myself as much. Back in the day, I used to label myself MGTOW, when you had more respectable voices having live and let live conversations, but that ship has sailed. It's more individuals that I can see, yeah, they think my way, or even if they don't, their personality is such that I could have a decent conversation where they're not trying to, gotcha me, things like that. Sure, storms still come. How you ride them is one thing, but I'm sort of more talking about making better decisions. Hey Roman, how are you? Hey August Line, how are you? I think I had a comment by you, but let's look at some recent comments under videos that I thought were notable enough that I thought should be read out loud. Georgie M on the recent video says, it's good to see conversation that stirs up reflection rather than the usual red pill grift, ad hocs, and status quo. And echo chambers, I would add. He continues, on the other hand, I do understand bitterness and somewhat non-flexible viewpoints of the older viewers here. But even then, it shouldn't serve as definitive law younger folks must abide by. In my opinion, it feels too much like most people in the manosphere kind of just adapt stances of others rather than choosing their standing in life based on personal decisions. Well said. Well said. I think this way too. Talk with people, shoulder to shoulder, but stop following people. Sometimes you might need a leader if you're in a world of hurt just before being, just after being divorced or being demoralized, or you're in a really bad place. But yeah, this part especially, um, you should be choosing your own standing in life based on your personal decisions, through conversation, through chewing on these ideas, through thinking, what do I think of this video? This is why I make, and the commenter, Georgie M, he astutely observed it correctly. I'm making conversations that stir up reflection rather than stirring up antagonism. I don't want to antagonize anyone. I want guys to be happy, have good conversations. I want people to get along. Everyone's tearing each other apart. It's not just men and women. So anyway, Michael Constantine says, I see a bunch of comments criticizing the worthiness of the endeavor. However, I don't believe this video is intended to answer this question. This is not advice about, should I do this? This is advice about, now that I have decided I'm doing this, what is the good plan for commencing the activity? Again, yes, yes, yes. I'm not telling you what to do, but if you've decided to get married and have kids, think better. What's the best course of action? Rather than the glib, you're a loser, good luck, you're not part of our group anymore. Yeah, so much for men taking care. No, men are just being, a lot of guys, like a lot of women, are just so subjective that they're sort of blinded to caring about anything other than their own solipsistic viewpoint. So, did I? Yeah. Put my phone on silent. Anyway, sip of coffee. I just had a super chat by Xanaman 2020. Thank you for the super chat. He says, when you see the red flags and can't not see them anymore, your potential girlfriend or even friendships get very small. That is correct. But that's a good thing. Whenever people say, well, if you don't do this, human, then you'll never get a girlfriend, you'll never get laid. And I always say, good. Because you don't. Do you want a nightmare? It's like, well, you never get to watch any movies if you don't watch horror films. It's like, well, if you don't like horror movies, like, good. Like, they annoy me. Not me personally, but I'm just using a metaphor. Say they really annoy you and you don't like them. There's nothing, they're just stupid. But you like your genre. You like comedies. You like drama. You like whatever. Documentaries. It's like, well, if you don't watch if you don't intentionally suffer through horror movies, you'll never get to watch a possible documentary if you're lucky. It's like, good. I'd rather watch no trash and just keep the door open for a possible documentary, and I'll be happy not watching anything, thank you. Movies don't mean that much to me. But it's true. Once you're honest with yourself about your experience, what the red flags really were, in those clarifying moments after the breakup, after the divorce, after whatever, you can choose never to have anything to do with women again. Fine. But the more honest you are, the better. And if you're honest, you can't help but see the red flags now. And you can't ignore them. And that's a good thing. And then you'll have a smaller pool of women. And that's a good thing. Because, look, I said this, put this as a metaphor, and I might make a video about this. If you were going into business, you always wanted to start a business around a certain product, right? And you planned and you know what you want and everything's clear. Would you pick any business partner to go into business with? If you know you need a business partner, you can't do it on your own. The optimal business you want needs a business partner that's aligned with you. And even if they're not exactly like you, you need someone who's aligned with your vision and your morals and ethics and design of what you want to do with this business, but they're the missing component of they'll fill in the blanks. They'll be able to do the work that you struggle with, or they'll be able to add something that you can't provide. Basically, you need a partner for your vision of a business. Would you pick anyone? Is anyone okay? Are all partners the same? Just like guys say, are all women like that? Yes, it's rare, But the more you're determined to get the vision you want, you will not even interview candidates that don't spark some sort of compatibility to who might be a potential business partner, you know, or as uh, I've I've heard Quasimandias speak about, and I agree with this. He talks about fishing in the right pool, and I thought about the metaphor. I kind of illustrated in my own head. I'm thinking, everyone's fishing in the ocean. It's like plenty of fish. You know, these are all the. This is where you fish for women in the ocean. It's so vast, and that's where everyone goes. It's popular. That's all women. It's like, how long do you kind of keep spitting out the same salty piece of trash before you say, you know, I don't care that there's an abundance of salty women that I have to endure. It's like, I'll go out. I'll go without fishing in the ocean and try and find my pool or river. It's harder. I may never find it, but this is better than spitting out salty fish. You know me. I love metaphors. Remember, if you want to ask me a question during the stream, 3 yellow circles, emojis, if you want to direct it to me, or super chat me and I'll definitely read it out during the stream. Unless you super chat me in the last 20 to 30 seconds and I might miss it like last time. Team Fatty says, sup human, long time no see. Do you still use the Apple program to stream live? I never used the Apple program, I don't think, ever. I'm on PC here at home. Your presentation is phenomenal and got even better. Greetings from Portugal. No, I use OBS. I used to use Streamlabs OBS, but it got to be a pain in the ass every time there was an update. It's one of these things where you realize why everyone just goes back to OBS, the basics, and it's free. And yeah, Streamlabs is just like a shell put over OBS to make money. But no, I don't use an Apple program at all. Maybe you're confusing me with somebody else. Okay. Justin Brink says, "Oh, you're a simp. Takes one to know one. I'm a simp." Well, you are all free to feel as you want, guys. Pay attention to the words I used. Jay says, human. Also, some guys are just plain self-destructive when it comes to women. I think Hammer is primarily referring to a woman's power within the legal system. Oh, yeah, in all that objective stuff out there, where if you don't vet her personally, yeah, you're basically, the odds are really stacked against you. It's just a matter of time or luck insofar as that goes. Yeah, I would agree there. Channel 1-800 dumb. Hammerhand, I would not call you a simp. Oh, were people calling him a simp? I thought people calling me a simp. Either way, who cares what people think? You're a good man and invaluable in the sphere. We are in agreement with Hammerhand. Yep. From the conversations, I've only had one chat with Hammerhand on a stream, I think it was, and yeah, he seems like a decent, cool, upstanding guy to me. Pete, how are you, man? Had a chat with Pete, Bass FCZ, and a couple of other guys on my chat channel. Check out the recent video. There's a link in my community tab, I think it is, but I'll put another link to it. But check out my chat channel, Human Chats, and I had a nearly 3-hour conversation with those guys, including Pete. Pete's always got some really good takes on things. I love having conversations with people who are live and let live. We don't necessarily have to agree on everything like mirrors, but yeah, Pete's a very intelligent guy. He says, yeah, and I mean, a good chunk of it involves my own personal issues that are having long-term effects on me, but I have to pay for that. Yep. The more we're honest with ourselves, it sort of it gets rid of a lot of the bullshit we keep tripping over in the future. We keep putting speed bumps in front of us, blind ones that we can't see because we think we're right. Xanaman says, when you see the reflex, I already read that out. Channel 1800 Dumb, thank you for the super chat. He says, human, are eggs healthy for us? You have to be careful of the ovarian kind, but chicken miscarriages are fine. I have them every day. Talking about eggs from the supermarket, in case you guys didn't understand that. Ask the waitress that when they ask you for a breakfast. You'll say, I'll have 2 chicken miscarriages on toast with some bacon, thanks. And see if she laughs or she looks at you in horror. Alpha Gaming says, we're all incompatible on some levels. We just used to be less delusional. Do you like, that's a good way of putting it. Do you like everything that your best friend likes? Of course not. Yeah. And you like your best friend, don't you? We need to really sort of be honest with these nuances. We can't just like what all our friends like because we like our friends. In the same, a lot of people are still going to church or liking this or liking that because they love their parents and they respect their parents and they still do what their parents love them for. And you don't want to go against your parents. Just because you like your friends, you don't just like everything your friends like. The challenge comes in knowing what you like and not apologizing for it. And not being annoyed and having to be defensive and defend what you like. If other people do, it's not your problem, it's theirs. Mr. Highway says, when you're a kid, eventually you find out Santa isn't real. I'm 30, and as I grow, I see this is a recurring motive. What are some Santas in life you found out were really just your parents? Exactly. Well put. Pin that comment. I can already tell with Mr. Highway, he's enjoying his life in South America, I think it is. Keep it up, man. Sounds like you're, by your words and your demeanor, that you've made a good choice. Rocket says, already had 2 significant others. That's enough for this life. Yeah. Depends also how long you had significant others. I can fully understand a guy who was married for 15 years, not wanting to have anything to do with it. And he's in the winter years of his life. It's like, I don't have enough time to roll on this dice, to roll on this game anymore, especially because I don't care about the game anymore. You could have gotten married when you had the interest in, like a child, in skateboarding. You got married at that time. And then you're 50, it's like, I really don't like skateboarding anymore. So I don't care what anyone says. I don't care about being, I'm not lonely. I'm fine. I'm happy. Thank you. Hats off to that guy. Me, I was honest with myself a few years ago when I'd had enough of dating the same way. And I did a big adjustment where I said, look, I'm closing this door and there's only one kind of key that will allow me to even consider a date. So, yeah, just it's not easy, but be honest with yourself, guys. It's easy to lie to other people, but it's very hard to lie to yourself. And if you don't lie to yourself, you tend not to lie to other people, and then you get the most chance of actually finding someone who's compatible because people can kind of sense if they're smart enough. If you want a grounded, intelligent, smart sort of person, they're going to tell, they're going to read between the lines and go, this guy's full of crap, or he's not over his past, or he's Oprahifying his philosophy. I don't trust this person in the same way we can do that. The more knowledge we get to know in the manosphere. Any more questions in the stream? Let me see. Okay. Jojo, glad you got a good laugh. She is now part of my past. Yeah, you got to laugh about it. Isn't that amazing? Like you're hung up on your ex, and then you get into another relationship, and then if you break up with her, you feel zero for that previous one. It's always, okay, now I'm hung up on the last one for a while. Why did the one before her just disappear completely? It's funny how our psychology attaches to the past. Did you know, Mad Humid, did you read anything lately? Um, Not really. Last week I perused. I've got a lot of books on my shelves that I buy when I see them, if they're on special or if they come across my path, and I know I want to read them. I'll buy them and then I'll have them on the shelf. One that I've had for a while, and I've been looking at organizing my notes, is the bullet journal method. It's a sort of method for sort of putting your thoughts down and organizing my notebooks and things like that. So I've been reading that. Mr. Mercer says, Human, has your partner made you change your mind on anything relationship related in recent times? Yeah, I'd say so. But that's proof of being with her. So in relation to her, I haven't changed my views, but I've been able to not just speculate on views I may have from my perspective as a guy and the guys I talk to, but have better understandings perhaps from women and sort of the women she's had in her lives in her life as friends and things like that. So just more of a clarification and adjustment of things, but in particular, change my mind. No, not 180. Adjustments, yes, but not change my mind. I don't think there's much I've really changed and flipped on my stance since my first video to now. But of course, like any new big adjustments in your life, if you're not informed and adjusted in some way, then it's yeah, I'd kind of question that. But I'd say it should change you for the better if you're enjoying your life. My life is definitely better with choosing a better person to be with. Let me put it that way. That's objectively true. Jack says some of us need to be a mean monk for a while until we calm enough and self-deterministic enough to not to be emotionally invested when or if Jane magically appears as to properly observe. I agree. The worst thing would be the regret of you haven't been through a process that you needed to be through. Because like sometimes you need to go through an anger process. You need to go through a F the world, I'm just doing this in my bubble process. Because the biggest regret would be looking back and saying, that girl I went on a date with when I was in a lot of pain, when I wasn't ready to date, she was really good. I wonder what would have happened. You don't want to do that. So that's true too. Um, I think I've gotten all the super chats out of the way for now. If any of you guys have more super chats, let me know. I'll read some of the more other comments out. I read that one out. Quasimandias relayed a really good story that I wanted to relay in its entirety. And it describes how a lot of guys, no matter, I'll talk personally because of the personal choices in my life I insist on making. And a lot of guys will say, well, that's not true because the objective reality is this. But I'm saying don't pick the general woman, pick your particular woman. Pick the outlier that matches you as the outlier. So Quaz relayed a story that described this, and you guys will need to see the metaphor in this, and this was really good. He says, years ago as a young guy, I was an avid fly fisherman. Was good at it too, especially fishing wet flies and nymphs. I was standing beside a river in southern Idaho or whatever Idaho, one time, having a pretty good day of it. And a rather pretentious cat in a new truck pulled up on the road and asked why I was fishing there. I said it was one of my favorite spots. He snorted and said the fishing there was no good and wondered why I was wasting my time. I said that I'd actually limited out on cutthroat. Cutthroat is a fish, and was going home. He said, "There's no cutthroat in that river." And I held up a stringer of fat fish and wondered what he thought of those were. He said, cutthroat, but you didn't catch them there. Yeah, cutthroat, he replied, you didn't catch them here. And Quaz ends, you meet a lot of people like that out there living your life. Yeah, when you're more self-deterministic and you go about your life more skillfully, and I'll say this while you look at my ugly mug, because I want you to pay attention. When you go out there insisting that you say your yeses and nos and saying what you believe and doing and going out there with some skill rather than thinking that life is something you're just dropped into and you have no say and life is going to toss you around like a bag of dirt. Or you go out there saying, no, I generate this life. Like I'm walking through it and I'm choosing my lefts and rights and ups and downs and whoa, hold on a minute, not for me. Or let me think about that. You are choosing how you act and speak. The more you do that, life is more a skill. There is a lot of luck. There is a lot of fate that you can't do anything about, especially the end. But there is so much of skill that could be implemented to alleviate all of this, all of the heartache and the sense of giving up and nihilism that a lot of guys have. And as Quaz says, you come up with a lot of deterministic guys that think there's only one answer to life. And it's so stupid. Like we said, you got your best friend, but you don't like everything your best friend likes. If it was all the same, we'd all like the same thing. Yes, if you're a heterosexual guy, you like heterosexual women or bi women. But yeah, I've belabored that point so often. The guys that kind of say, yeah, that's just like human, or that's you. It's like, well, you can make it you too in your way if you choose to do it that way. It's like, no, I don't want to take that risk. Well, you don't want to take that courage either. You don't kind of really believe. You believe what everyone else says. You don't really believe that you can make something happen with just a small courageous step and just see the results of that, you know? But that was a really good comment by Quaz. So I'm just trying to get guys to have a bit more realistic courage of living the lives that they could live if they just weren't so beholden to the validation of groups and other guys that could be good buddies in other ways, but really they're holding them back in others because you don't want to disappoint your buddies in the manosphere, just like you don't want to disappoint mummy and daddy because of whatever religion they are, or you don't want to disappoint them because you might be gay and they expect you to get married and you can't say no to what they want and you can't be honest with yourself. This is one thing a long time ago I started to really respect with homosexual people, is that they have the courage to sort of take a step and just be who they are, even in the face of, until that point, their friends and family that are the closest to them. What will they think? Who will ostracize me? That's courage. And some of us need to adopt, figuratively, the same courage that a lot of people who come out have. That's the kind. So what? Would a gay person sort of say, well, that's just the way it is. I have to get married. It's ridiculous. And most of you who follow my channel know it's ridiculous. Yes, there's cooperative ways to kind of go along with society. In harder times, hundreds of years ago, where survival is at stake and you need to breed and eat and have have a shelter over your head, and you're just grateful to be alive, you can't entertain a lifestyle. You have to only entertain survival. So sometimes your preferences and your desires come second place. It depends on how much you want what you want, how much you determine that, like, this is my life. Time is running out. I can accept what everyone says if I want, but that's the life I'm going to get. I'm going to have misery loves company, don't forget, guys. But also happiness loves company too. Don't forget that. Roman says, why haven't you had a shave this morning? Maybe because Roman's gay, by the way. The thing that saved my life and gave me agency over mind was the absolute rejection of authority, obligation, taught standards, taught ways of being. It's absolutely painful, but worth it. Yes. And remember, if you're in a relationship with some bimbo, you exist. Without you, it's not there. She's not there. The relationship's not there. The nagging's not there. Insist on wanting to be in a good relationship that has its, objective disagreements. She's an individual just as you are, but reject a one-sided, one-way street relationship. You exist. Actually get your back up. Learn to exercise getting your back up when she looks at you like you just canceled Christmas. If you're just saying, no, I don't agree, or can I think about it, or I don't feel like going, or can we talk about it, like I don't agree, or something. Like, it's not just her way any more than it's not just your way. The only way it's going to work is why I say you need to find someone compatible is that you're able to work things out because you believe in the same ethics and values. So you're both not going to deviate really from your core principles. You're able to discuss and get back to the same page. But you're incompatible. If you're incompatible, you are never able to get on the same page, even through conversation, because it's going to be combative. You are never going to get to a baseline that you both virtuously and ethically and morally believe in, because you're incompatible. But if you get together with a compatible person, if you're slightly off kilter, you can get back to a stable baseline in your relationship, especially through conversation, because compatible people, I would say, can use conversation and would insist on conversation when things aren't aligned temporarily. Anyway, any more final comments? I didn't get to read out the general comments in my comments section because the questions today were really good. Any last super chats today, if you're here live, in the next minute, give me your final questions and super chats and I'll read them out, because I'm going to end the stream in the next minute or two, right? So give me your super chats, especially in the last minute, so I can read them, because I hate not reading them if you've given me a donation. Or put 3 yellow circles before your comment in the stream and I'll try to read them out if I see them. Hey human, why do married people in a relationship try to feel or act to a single man? I'm not sure what you mean. Why do married in a relationship try to feel or act to a single man? Act like a single man? Or to a single man? I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry, David. Benjamin says, thank you for your help. I miss my kids. I'm 37, going to sell my home, move to Texas. Any thoughts? Yeah, without knowing your situation, man, I can just speculate you've been through a rough one, and it sounds like you're begrudgingly doing the painful thing you need to do to move on with your life. And, unfortunately, if she's got control of the kids, you're legally hamstrung. Sorry to hear it, but keep doing the right thing and trying to be as best a father as you can be. Even though you have a horrible bouncer in front of the nightclub preventing you from getting to your kids, but I don't know. She might be good. I don't know. Ozpexel says, human, what do you do when your friends group is temporarily blinded by new women in the group, simping for them when you yourself do not join the bandwagon? Don't censor yourself, but I think you should always notice when anyone in the group is getting angry and losing control. It's never pretty seeing a person feed off their emotions. It's kind of like, it's calm down. All right. Any final questions or super chats? Thank you, Roman. I appreciate it. I refuse to have leftovers or be the cleanup man. Yeah. But also, it's not just like how many guys she slept with, if that's like an important thing to you. A lot of the cleanup is all the emotional wreck and baggage that she's left with, torturing herself, living a lifestyle that caught up with her. A lot of the baggage we have is unresolved stuff, scars that she'll never heal. A lot of that is psychological too. I'd say a lot of it with all of us is psychological unless we address it. With women, unfortunately, it's also shown physically with kids. But yeah, we're all responsible. You're free to do what you want, ladies and gentlemen, but you are not free from the consequences of doing what you want. To paraphrase Ayn Rand. Zed, thank you so much for the super chat, and I appreciate it. Sam, thank you again for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. You're welcome. Just the guy says, if you don't value long-term relationships above all, compatibility is not all that important. True, but you're playing a more dangerous game, I would say, than a guy who's astutely and intentionally looking for long-term. You're rolling the dice on. You're taking more blind risks, or even calculator. You're taking different risks with different people that you don't know yet, rather than assessing someone you don't know over time and using your own intelligence and judgment over time to just try and assess them in a better way. So, yeah, I think spinning plates and just doing short term and hooking up is a lot more dangerous. And for me, it's tiring and a waste of time. It takes up too much time. You're walking on anticipatory eggshells and it feels good, but you're walking on butterflies all the time. And I would rather stabilize. Just a guy. Yeah. Okay. Let's wrap it up. I think I've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. And I don't want to start reading all the comments from this last week under my stream. I can save it for next stream, or maybe if I do a midweek stream this week, I can touch on a topic, but use most of the stream to discuss some of the comments you guys left. But anyway, thanks for showing up for the stream. Thanks for all you guys who super chatted, donated, support the channel, and just showing up and continuing this discussion. Continue the comments underneath in the comments section under videos. Remember to kind of like and comment, interact. YouTube loves interaction, whether it's a comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you want. They don't care as long as you interact. They want your eyeballs interacting. And the proof that your eyeballs are interacting is when you click on stuff or type or something. Anyway, have a good weekend, guys. And I'll catch you in the next video or stream. And yeah, I'm out of here. Bye.